whereas it is expedient to provide for a professional, trained, skilled, disciplined, and dedicated police system to protect the integrity and security of the state and to ensure the rule of law with due transparency and by giving due regard to life, property, freedom, dignity, and human rights of every person in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. Public Service Commission. Union Public Service Commission would constitute a committee and go through the record of these people, the eligible people, either 3 or double the number of the posts, whatever it is. They would select a panel of 3 people, and that panel would be sent back to the state government, and the state government can pick up any one of these 3. I think it is a fair, this one. So this is the one which was suggested as a reform. But a lot of states, what they do is, they create a post called acting DGP. There's nothing like an acting DGP anywhere. And then make that gentleman continue for a long time, dilly-dallying, sending the reports to the UPSC. Then one more thing, one more reform that was suggested there is, a person who has got less than 6 months should not be nominated in that particular one. There have been cases where people who are there another 10 days, 15 days tenure also, the lists have been sent. Now, Andhra Pradesh has completely bypassed this rule at all. And they have said in their amendment of 2014, they said state government would decide depending on the seniority, merit, and some of those things and all that. And that's how. And Andhra Pradesh example I am giving because the quality of the working of the police. And you know how the DGP has been transferred to the other DGP. So some of these things, So this is the main crux of the thing. And they resisted. All governments have resisted. And not only that, the Police Commission in 1980 has suggested a model police act to be applicable for the entire country. No one was prepared to accept this model. This one. In 2010 or 9, Justice K of the Supreme Court has said, we have been repeatedly saying, we have been telling them day in and day out, but no one cares. So who cares for us? This is what he wrote in a judgment, Justice K. So luckily, some wisdom dawned that some of the states, they have passed a law. Some of them are effective, some of them don't have all these things. But the one model act which I would recommend to you is the Kerala Police Act, which was done in 2011. And I would like to just, what this Kerala Act says is, the preamble itself says, it's worth reading, 2011 Act. It repealed the 1960 Police Act, which was based on 1861 Police Act. Preamble, whereas it is expedient to provide for a professional, trained, skilled, disciplined, and dedicated police system to protect the integrity and security of the state and to ensure the rule of law with due transparency and by giving due regard to life, property, freedom, dignity, and human rights of every person in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution of India. This is missing in most acts in the country even today. And whereas it is necessary to have a police system which functions in consonance with the modern democratic society and maintains public harmony and law and order. And whereas it has become imperative to ensure that the powers vested in the police shall not be abused and that the activities of the police are subject to statutory and effective controls. And so that's how the Police Act has been passed. Now, I would also like to mention what are some of the major provisions in the Police Act, the Kerala Police Act. They have constituted a 10-member state police commission. There is that committee would do the evaluation of the police performance every year would be reviewed by a panel of 3 experts appointed by the State Police Commission. Now, there is a section relating to behavior of police officers, which is section 29, how they should behave. And this one, police and public may keep audio or visual records or electronic records of what is happening at a police station or where police are acting. You must have seen some cases where police are beating some women, are dragging them and all that. If somebody tries to take a photograph, the camera is, taken away and like that. So they said it's possible. Then community policing, they have said a committee of contact, a contact committee, a community contact committee should be appointed for each community, for each locality. Beat constable system, minimum tenure of police officers, 2 years, even for the station house officers. Police Welfare Bureau, Police Establishment Board, Police Complaints Authority at state and district level. And another thing, bribe taking or extortion by the police officers is made a specific offense under section 115, for which a penalty of up to 7 years punishment can be done. So these are some of the things. Now, Andhra Pradesh, I had mentioned to you, is not even worth mentioning. Then there are other aspects relating to the reform of the police. These relate to modernization of the police. Modernization basically on forensic science laboratories. Most of our fellows still believe in third-degree measures, beating up the fellow and all that. So scientific measures for investigation, especially the forensic science laboratories, which are in a terrible mess, the fingerprint bureaus, now with the artificial intelligence, the cyber crime, the 5G, all these technologies now have double edge. One is they help the police in investigating the things, but they would also lead to more crime, like cyber crime, or because you are no longer secretive. Any action which you do, your accounts, everything, the moment you put it online, it is visible to everybody. I mean, whoever wants to hack it. So the scientific aids to these things, and then some of these things have to be noted. Then the conditions of working of the police. The police are supposed to be like civil servants also, 24 hours on duty. Now they have been, the last ounce of blood was taken out of them. They are, especially in bandobast and all that, they keep hanging around for such a long time. Their conditions of living are awful. Earlier, the police lines and all that. Now, luckily, police housing boards have been created. Police welfare boards are there. Conditions of, should not work more than 8 hours. But if he continues because of his situation for 10 hours, relief should be given. A lot of states have brought in that. Their pay scales used to be miserable. The pay scales have been improved substantially. Now, the training part of it. The training part of it is a constable is recruited after intermediate, or a sub-inspector is recruited after BA. But they undergo a training of about 9 months, which also includes the on-the-job training, somewhere. I think it is too little for a complex job like this. It is too little, this 9 months of training, and it has to be more. And I think you should catch them young. For example, the Jesuit, people recruited to the Jesuit, these things, or even our RSS itself, catch them young. After the 10th standard, anybody who has an inclination to join the police force, the police colleges should be established. Police training can be given, intermediate is 2 years, graduation is 3 years, 5 years. 5 years, we can train them and let them be affiliated to a university, let them get a degree, in police, police science. And I think for a modern age, that would be much better, So these are some of the things I wanted to mention. Then there are other things like adequacy of the police. Police keep on complaining that we don't have adequate police forces. But if you see the figures, you'll see that a lot of recruitment takes place. Now, how this recruitment takes place is, for 3 years, 4 years, you don't do anything. In 1 year, you recruit 5,000 fellows or 10,000 fellows. Now, if you recruit 10,000 fellows at one time, where would you train them? Where are the training institutions? So, the training is very sort of raw. Second thing is, it's not enough you train these people. You must also retrain the existing fellows. In fact, what happens is, if a bright, young, new police inspector, sub-inspector says, sir, let us follow these particular systems, new systems. The old guard, the fellow who has been there in the system for 25 years, you would say, you're an idiot, this is not the way, you beat up that fellow, something come out and all that. So some of the existing people have to be retrained. These are some of the aspects. But then another problem with the numbers is, what happens is, in the police, there is a civil police and there is an armed police. You would have seen Maharashtra armed police, Andhra Pradesh armed police. They carry guns all the time and they are in camps and they are sent into whenever communal riot or some situation takes place, some law and order position, they are brought in. A lot of recruitment is taking place into the armed police constabulary and not to the civil police. Similarly, if you take the all India level, because I was Home Secretary, I know the police forces at the central level, though police is not a central subject, a huge border security force, Indo-Tibetan border police, CRPF, Central Reserve Police Force, is the largest police force we have. And every year we keep on adding to them. So a lot of police forces are being recruited there, but not at the place where they are wanted. So these are some of the points I wanted to mention. But as I said, I have a lot of sympathy to the people, the police. Why? Because there are some brilliant young police officers, especially the people who are recruited in the IPS. A lot of them are engineers, science graduates, doctors, and some of the sub-inspectors also. Even though the minimum qualification is a BS, BA, some of them are even postgraduates and all that. They are prepared to do, but I think we should encourage them and then provide these things. But behavior, police behavior, last word, one thing I wanted to say. Why do the police behave? I mean, we all say they behave in an arrogant manner. They don't give you respect. Their language is rough and all that. The reasons are, one is their service condition. They become, rough and tough. The second one is the police culture. That macho image of the police. The third one is the police code of, what should I say? The code of conduct, not code of conduct actually, their own internal code. No police officer would speak against another police officer, even if he knows that the other man is corrupt or he has been using third-degree measures in doing these things and all that. So it is very, very difficult to get the truth out of, if some irregularity has taken place within the police system, it is very difficult to sort of get it out. Some of these things need to be added. There are human rights activists who allege a lot of things against the police. I don't give much importance to that because you cannot talk only of human rights of the, the accused. What about the human rights of the victims? And all these things. Last one I wanted to say, the police are only one part of the justice, criminal justice delivery system. The other parts are prosecution. Now, prosecution is done by the lawyers, the police prosecution. In many departments, there is a separate prosecution wing, prosecution department. There may be a police officer posted there as head, but he is not in the police hierarchy. But the point is, prosecution comes after the case is investigated. The prosecutor goes and points out when the case fails, there are a lot of lacunae here. You have not investigated this case properly. You have not investigated that. You have not contacted that witness and all that. The point is, should not this prosecutor be a sort of guiding the case as it is going on, as the investigation is going on, rather than a post facto advice saying you have not done it properly and all that. So what should be the role of the prosecutors? There are difficulties in that. One argument could be, though you have a sort of concocted the evidence or some such thing they can say. But I think the balance of advantages in a prosecutor advising the police during the investigation itself, keeping at an arm's length this one.